Hey everyone, how's it going? This is the Lowndes here, and it has been a little while since we last chatted.
Sorry about the lapse of time. We meant to get this out a lot sooner, but
yeah, a couple months ago.
Lots of things have been going on. So
yeah, a lot of good things. So I guess 3 kind of big updates for you all as you've been partnering with us. The first biggest update is we spent a good amount of time, like 2 months ago or so, talking with Tripp, who is our pastor at Soma Culver City, as well as the director of our program, figuring out, really firming up what God would have for us in the next year, like practically. Are we called to lead a church plant? If so, what does that look like? Where? And
what are the practical next steps as part of our Soma Sending program, looking at kind of going into our last semester?
Yeah, exactly. And so we spent a good amount of time just praying and spending time with God. And what we realized, and where we both actually felt unified individually, they came together and we were just on the same page with where God was leading us, is that we don't feel like God's calling us to lead a church plant in this next season. We both just feel like after going through this program, as we're going through it, as we've been leading in all the different ways we feel like God's calling us to continue to grow individually as well as a couple, as a marriage, as a team. How do we love each other well through all the highs and lows? How do we love other people? Like, how do we care for ourselves as well as care for others in our spheres of influence? And so it's been super awesome to realize and have clarity, to be honest. We haven't had a ton of clarity in where God's been leading us, but we feel like He's really brought some clarity, and the other leaders around us are super excited for the clarity He's brought as well.
Yeah, I think we were both experiencing some kind of internal favor at our jobs, and as we were looking to kind of transition into roles or careers that would allot for more margin to serve the church in more of a full-time or part-time capacity, God was just shutting a lot of those doors and kind of making it clear that He wanted us to stay put in our careers. So that was kind of a huge impetus for thinking, okay, maybe God's doing something else with our lives. And also just getting affirmed and encouraged by our pastors and elders to kind of run with that favor that we've been given in our careers, and to, not negate the fact that God could be calling us to be more mission focused at our jobs, but also within our existing body. So that's kind of the part 2, is that I feel like there's been a renewal in how we serve our church. Our existing body, Soma Culver City in LA, as we continue to grow. We're experiencing that growth on a personal level within our own missional community that's currently at like 21 people. Which is crazy and a total God thing. If you would have ever told us that 2.5 years in we would have been at 23 almost people, I would not have believed you. But we're looking at multiplying our missional community, which is super exciting.
It's a natural progression. It's where among the different things we try to focus on is we want to see multiplication happen, not just of our broader churches, but of our MCs.
Right, and so we're looking at going into a season of that, and I feel like that transition of growing really large physically as an MC and then needing to transition into how do we disciple this many people, how do we refocus this many people to live a life on mission. They're really on fire, they're really excited, but there's tension there of how do we do this? There's so many of us. We try not to multiply just out of size, but I think we're seeing the pressure of we are going to have the capacity to invite people in more and be better organized if we multiply and kind of form two groups. And so the last 3 or 4 months have also been really demanding on us, just in terms of internally focused on leading an MC well, transitioning an MC well, raising up the leadership within our MC that's going to head up the next multiplication of our MC. And so God's been like, hey, like, this is where I have you, these jobs, this missional community, I need you focused here, loving and caring and serving the people that I've given you kind of in the immediate. That's my soup. Keep talking.
Her soup is boiling over the pot, so welcome to real life. But the last thing, I think what's really been cool is just, it's been really freeing, because we've really come to realize that we want to have a 100-year vision for the city of LA. So, we may not be leading a church plant in this next season, but our heart is to see the city and the county of Los Angeles saturated with the gospel. And that means we get to continue to make disciples within Soma Culver City, and we get to be faithful in this season, trusting that whatever God would have for us in the future, He's going to bring. So I think it's just been so freeing and so encouraging
The irony is I like rarely cook, but I'm cooking tonight for our roommates. We have roommates. Sorry, just quick interjection.
Oh my gosh.
We have roommates. We moved house. That's the other kind of update on us in terms of where God's focusing our time. Sarah and Casey are best friends from New York City, our brothers and sister from Soma, who have discipled us throughout the years. We're back in LA. We've moved into a house with them, and God, again, really affirming and encouraging us to kind of invest in those relationships in this season as they disciple us. Casey, unfortunately, is sick right now, so I am making him soup.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a lot of things I feel like God's kind of reorienting our focus to. So.
So that's a little peek into life right now and where God's calling us. We're finishing out the Soma Sending program, which goes through the spring. So all the different ways you guys are supporting us in prayer and financially, we're still continuing the program and being equipped to help lead our church right now. And then if God would leverage that equipping to lead another church in the future, that's awesome as well. But yeah, super exciting. If you guys have any other questions or anything else like that, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with any of you individually. But please be praying for the multiplication of our MC, which is really like planting another small church in our city, as well as just us as we continue to grow in our love of God, and our love for each other, and our love of the people around us.
Also, just continue to pray for our church, Soma Culver City, as we are actually starting the practical processes of multiplying. Josh, who you've seen in videos before, who's the other Soma Sitting resident, him and some of the core people around him are actually going to be spending time in North Venice, which is the geographical area they've identified for the next church plant. They're going to be spending some time there at the end of this year, just praying and fasting and trying to, ask God for clarity and a vision on how to serve that area. That impacts us, of course, because even though we don't feel called to necessarily lead that plant alongside of Josh, we definitely feel like God could still call us to be a part of that core team. And so kind of their vision for North Venice also affects us and our church as the sending church currently, and us potentially as people who would go with them. North Venice is about 10 to 15 minutes from where we are now, so not too far, but encompasses, probably another 500,000 people between here and there. And so definitely a need on the west side, but not too far from home. And so we're actually really excited to see what God's going to do with that.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you all are having a great holidays, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you guys in the new year.
Bye.
Bye.